Okay, sir. Good morning, everyone. It is my immense pleasure to welcome you all for this expert virtual talk, The Art of Memorial Drafting and Skills of Argument in the Moot Co, hosted by Vidhi Varta. As we all know, that a mooting is an essential skill, and memorial drafting and moot court advocacy have been an inseparable part that forms the backbone of a successful legal career. Memorial drafting perfects the law student ability to present argument with precision, clarity, and logical coherence, mirroring the rigorous demands of real world litigation. Litigation, it teaches us the art of the structured legal writing, meticulous research, and adherence to the procedural formalities, skills critical through draft petition, appeal, and other legal documents. On the other side, we know that moot court advocacy or mock trial advocacy cultivates the oral persuasion, quick thinking, and advocate and ability to defend a position under pressure. And these skills are honored, honored for a successful legal career. To shed light on this dynamic concept and guide through I introduce our expert speaker, Advocate A. Taber Fatima, a dynamic legal professional and scholar whose achievements inspire us all. Currently practice at the District Court of Vilupura and the High Court of Madras. Advocate Fatima has been a dedicated research student specializing in taxation law at Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University at Chennai. Her academic journey is marked by excellence, which include drafting two groundbreaking legislative bills, the Drones Bill and the Same-Sex Marriage Bill, which secures sixth and ninth position nationally and earned her recognition from Supreme Court judges for her exemplary drafting skill. She has also been a seasoned mooter and clinched numerous state and national titles, including awards for Female Best Speaker. Beyond competition, she has presented 12 research papers at national and international conferences with 7 publications to her credit. Her leadership shines through the role as student moderator for the national conference and coordinator for the prestigious moot court competition. She has guided over 500 students in crafting persuasive legal arguments and has been invited to deliver expert lecture on taxation law, which demystify complex legal updates for the upcoming juries. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Advocate A. Taiba Fatima, as we are privileged to have her to share her insight with us.
Before starting, I just want to ask a few queries. That is anyone here who are new to moot court and who are about to participate in moot court and having no knowledge about it? Anyone? Or the people here are already participated in moot court and want tips or something? You can message in chat box. Okay. So we'll see about the A to Z procedures of moot and how to participate in it. So first of all, moot court can be of two types, which is state and national. For example, in state, only the state law colleges will be participating, and in national colleges all over India will be participating. So before getting a moot proposition in your hand, what you have to analyze it is you have to read the facts for about 2 to 3 times. Minimum 2 to 3 times, so that you will be understanding what the problem says. If you are okay with the problem, if you have a confidence that you can crack the problem and do a moot memorial with the bestest of bestest, you can participate. Or else, if I am good in constitution law, I'll go for only constitution law moots. If my friend is good in criminal law, she will go for criminal law moots. So you have to adjust it with your mates. And the total members are 3 here: speaker 1, speaker 2, and researcher. Speaker 1 and 2 will be arguing with the issues and facts, and researcher will be will be writing an exam called a researcher test, so that trophy for researcher test is given for the top high mark, for which the questions will be based on solely the facts and the cases only. So what is moot court is, it is a real arrangement of real courts. So if you have visited a real court, there will be just sitting in the front, and there will be a conference set up for the advocates to go and argue, and there will be a podium and mic in front of the judges, so that it is a big court hall, so it will not be audible for the judges if there is no mic. So these are the things which will be in the real court and also in moot court. So as soon as you receive your problem, you are going to read it 3 to 4 times. If you are okay with it, you are going to register with your teams, which consist of 3 members. After registering, the moot proposition will be given all the deadlines. So there will be deadline for the submission of memorial, both side memorial via mail or via Google form or anything. You are going to crack the problem. You are going to ready up the moot memorial. So moot memorial has lot of things. So first there should be table of content. In the table of content, first should be your abbreviations. First there should be abbreviations. For example, AIR, in every cases you have cited, there will be AIR for at least 20 to 24 times. So you cannot write All India report every time you are writing AIR. So in the front page, after the table of contents, you are going to write AIR, All India report, SC, Supreme Court, TN, Tamil Nadu. So what are the abbreviations you have used inside the memo, that should be given. First, table of contents. And next is the what are all the act or provisions you have cited. For example, I am citing the Constitution of India. You can cite books, links, and bibliographies and websites too. What are all the sources you have cited to ready up your memo should be given after the abbreviation, and then the cases cited. At least a memo should have 50 cases for each side, 50 for petitioner and 50 for respondent side. So after citing everything, you go on to the facts, which is the statement of facts. Statement of facts should be only 1 page, not more than 1 page. Even if the problem is given for 40 pages, I have attended a moot competition in criminal law, which had 40 pages, including all the FIRs, including the BATA memos, including the FIR copies of each accused, including the wakalat filed for each accused. So it was about 40 pages. We have to crack it down and minimize it to 1 page. It is a standard. It is a standard number of pages. That means you have to do only 1 page, even if it is state or if it is a national court, only 1 page, not more than that. After cracking your facts into 1 page, the facts for the petitioners and respondent will differ. I used to give a different facts to petitioner side, and I used to give different facts to respondent side. How you have to differentiate is, in memo, that in the facts there will be points for both memorial side and also for respondent side. For which are the points that are favoring the petitioner side should be highlighted in the facts of memorial side, memorial of petitioner, and which are the facts that are highlighting the respondent side should be given in the memorial of respondent side. So you have to highlight, so that while you are explaining the facts to the judges will be knowing, okay, for respondent side, these are the points given in the facts, and you have well versed read your facts. And after the summary of facts, you are going to give summary of your arguments. If there are four problems and you have elaborated it in the further pages, you are going to give it in a short form. For example, if the PIL is maintainable in the Supreme Court of Lasagna, you are going to write if it is yes or if it is no. Yes, comma, and what are the reasons in only 5 to 6 lines. And you are going to explain it with case laws and provisions only in the further pages. So this is the summary of arguments. So what you're going to argue is going to be given in summary form. Yes, the PIL is maintainable in the courts of Lasagna because there is locus standi for the petitioner, and there is whatever the facts gives you have to be given, and the same has to be followed for all the issues. If there are 4 issues, you have to follow the same procedure for 4 issues also. If there is 4 issues, you can divide it between your speaker 1 and speaker 1 2 issues, and speaker 2 has 2 issues. And researcher, obviously they are going to help you in citing cases and searching any provisions. So after the summary of facts is over, you're going to move on to summary of your statement of arguments, which is the elaborate form of the arguments. In the summary of arguments, you're going to write only yes, the PIL is maintainable. But here you're going to point out into one. If the issue is one, you are going to sub-issue it into 1.1, 1.2, which is yes, that is locus standi. Yes, the PIL is maintainable. 1.1 should be yes, the petitioner is having locus standi. And second, what are all the points that are favoring? That is violation of constitutional right here, or that is violation of fundamental rights here under this article. So you're going to point it out and give at least 4 to 5 pages for each issue. You're not going to talk all the points you have given, but you have marks for your memorial, which is added for your preliminary rounds also. So you're going to do that. After completing all the 4 issues in the same manner, as I said, each issue should be having 8 to 10 case laws that are favoring the issues and are favoring the facts. And then the prayer. I pray this honorable court, besides the cases cited, besides the authorities involved, we are asking you to whatever you want your facts to be done, you are going to pray it in the prayer, which is the last page. And you are going to be conscious on the page number of the memo. In a few moods, there won't be any page number limit, but in few moods, there will be page number limit, which will be minimized to 30 pages or 35 pages. So whatever the authorities of the moot court is asking for you, you can just take it out. And after that's it, your memo is over. And the first page of the memo should be having in the codes of, you are going to write your name of the team. For example, your team is given as Ganga or Yamuna or Kaveri. You're going to write team code Ganga. In the codes of, you are going to write the competition, second national moot court competition conducted by MIT University Noida. And then you're going to cite in the codes of, and you're going to write the cause title. If it is a writ petition, or if it is a SLB, or if it is a real original case, or whatever it is, you're going to cite the cause title, and then you're going to mention which memo is that. Memorial on behalf of the petitioner or the memorial on behalf of the respondent. So for petitioner, it should be in blue in color, and for respondent, it should be red in color. So this is the tips for the memo. And moving on to the oral arguments, you have you have done with your registration, you have done with your preparation of memorial, and should be submitted within the deadline. And before submitting the memorials to the authorities of the competition, you are going to give it to the staffs or any assistant professors of your college who are well versed. For example, if the problem is based on constitution law, you are going to give that memorial to the assistant professor handling constitution law. If it is a criminal law, you are going to give the memorials to the assistant professor who is handling you criminal law. You have to decode what all the facts and what all you have added in your memo, so that they'll come to a conclusion. They will ask you to change this or add this or remove this, and you can, after the correction is done, you can send the memorials to your respective authorities before the deadline. And after your memorial is given, you're going to prepare for your oral arguments. For oral arguments, you're not going to memorize each and everything of your memo. You shouldn't do. And for facts, first you are going to do your facts in your arguments. So for facts, you are not going to see the memorial and read. You shouldn't see your memorial and read, or you shouldn't see your notebooks and read the facts. That is the main tip to score high marks in your preliminary, because preliminary is the thing which is going to decide your quarterfinals and then the corresponding rounds also. So you're not going to read the facts, you're going to explain the facts by your knowledge, what all you have understand, because you have read it up your memo, you have read the facts for so many times. So you should definitely not see your memo. You should obviously read it by your knowledge and not by seeing it or something. So after the fact is over, you're going to move on with your issue 1. So if you're first time mooters, you can note down the points I'd be saying and be ready with your pen and paper. I'll just give you 2 minutes. Take your pen and paper. Done? Have you taken? So in the podium setup, you're going to sit in the side benches. This is side should be petitioner and this side will be the respondent side. And for respondent, before the judges arrive to your court hall, you have to go and sit in your arrangement. It should be in the order speaker 1, speaker 2 and researcher, and respondent said speaker 1, speaker 2 and researcher, which is nearer to the podium. The speaker 1 should sit which is near to the podium. So this you have arranged in your court hall, the judges have arrived. So after the judges have approved you to start your arguments, the speaker 1 should get up and say, the counsel, you can note it down, the counsel seeks permission to reach the podium. Is my voice clear, or I should type it for you?
It's clear.
The counsel seeks permission to reach the podium. The judges will obviously say yes, and you are going to reply it with much obliged. Every time the judges give you yes or no, you are going to handle it as yes, much obliged, your lordship, much obliged, your lordship. That's it. Even if the judges is a lady one, you can use lordships as a common word, and there is no necessity that you have to mention a lady judge as a ladyship. It is not necessary. You can just address them as lordship. That's it. So the counsel seeks permission to reach the podium. They are obviously going to say yes, and you are reaching the podium, and you are going to explain, and you are going to introduce yourself. This is counsel 1 or speaker 1, whichever is comfortable for you, you can use. This is counsel 1 on behalf of the petitioner in the case of A versus B. Noted? This is counsel 1 on behalf of the respondent in the case of A versus B. And then if the lordships permit, the counsel seeks permission to summarize the facts. If the lordships permit, the counsel will state the summarization of facts. Okay, noted. And obviously the judges are going to say you yes, and then you're going to summarize the facts with your own heart. Already I have said not to read your facts. Only you're going to explain it with your knowledge, what all the points you know, by seeing by having eye contact with the judges, which is so important, because there will be separate marks in your score sheet which says knowledge of facts. If possible, I'll show you a model of the marking criteria. Just a second. I don't know if it is visible for you. Yeah. Knowledge of facts. And this knowledge of applicable law. So you are going to have these 2 points for your facts. So which is 10 to 15 marks will be given by the authorities, by the organization of the moot. So if you read the facts by seeing the memo, you will lose at least 5 marks. You will be given only 5 marks if you see and read your memos. So try not to see your memos while giving the facts. You are going to see your memo only while I am not in that group. Maybe I'll share to the authorities who are conducting this lecture. I'll share. So if you are seeing your memo and reading, you will be losing marks. And knowledge of applicable facts is you have to know which are all the laws or which are all the provisions you are using it. For example, section 36 of the POSCO Act says so and so. Even that carries marks for your preliminary. So these are the tips you are going to gain. This will not be explained by the moot court authorities or moot court committee before going to the moot, but it is learnt by practical experiences. And I have judged 5 moots. So what are all the criteria I see is, I mainly see that the counsel should not read the memo by their eyes. They have to explain it by their own words. If it is okay if they stammer or if they stuck somewhere, but I want them to read it by their own knowledge, but not seeing. So this is the main criteria for that. And after explaining your facts, you have to ask your judges. If the judges are satisfied with the facts. If the judges are satisfied with the facts, I would move on to. If the judges are satisfied with the facts, I would move on to the arguments. So you are going to explain if there are 4 issues. I'll be taking issue 1 and 2, and my co-speaker will be dealing with issue 2 and 3. So this is the thing you're going to explain there. After completing your issue 1, you're going to ask the judges. You're going to ask the judges if you're satisfied with the issue 1. I would like to move on to issue 2. Some judges say I am satisfied, you can move on to second issue, and some judges say you're I'm not satisfied and I want further elaboration or further questions if they ask. So it depends upon the judges. If they are satisfied, you can move on to the second issue by explaining the same. How you explained your issue 1, you are going to explain it in the same manner, in the same strength, the same voice, everything. So after completing your second issue, you have to address your second speaker to come to the podium. If the lordships are satisfied with the issue 1 and 2, I'd ask my co-counsel to deal with issue 3 and 4. So obviously the judges are going to say that they are satisfied, and you are going to reply them with much obliged, your lordships. And clear? And for prayer, it is mandatory that the prayer should be pleaded to the court without seeing, because you are going to pray the court what you want, and there is no point you are going to memorize it, or you're going to mug it up, or you're going to see the memorials and read it. So for the same for facts and for the prayer, you're going to pray before the court what all you want your prayer to be. And your oral arguments is over, and your memo is also over. And in the preliminary round, you're going to argue for both sides, which is preliminary side and also the respondent side. Preliminary for 30 minutes, for a few minutes will be for 30 minutes and few will be for 40 minutes. It depends upon the moot court committee. And for respondent, you're going to argue the same. For preliminary, you're going to compulsory argue for both petitioner side and respondent side, and the top 8 will be given as, and top 8 will be selected for quarterfinal rounds. And in quarterfinal round, it is a knockout round for A versus B. Anyone will be selected for the semi-finals, and the same for semi-finals. A versus B, anyone will be selected for finals. So this is the criteria. And your memo is over, oral arguments is over. And I'd like to share with you all that if you get a chance to participate in moot, definitely just close your eyes and go and participate. It will be hard to ready up the memo, and it will be hard to go and argue before the court. First time it will be so panic. Okay, how I'm going to deal with it? But you have to do, because if you go on to any 4 to 5 moots, you will be gaining so much of knowledge. Even I myself have experienced that. Okay, just because I went to moot, I got a good name in this court. So what happened? I'd like to share a real court experience. Myself have participated in about 10 moot courts in my UG. In just 2 years, in just 2.5 years, I participated in 10 moots, because during my first year and second year, I was stuck up with the COVID-19, and there were no moot court competitions or no classes, and there were no one to teach us. That was a new college, and we are the second batch students there, and we used to see YouTube videos of final rounds in many prestigious law colleges, and we used to note it down. What are the points I said you, which is the counsel seeks permission to reach the dais. Everything was learnt by YouTube for me, and there were no seniors for me who taught me like this, or there were no moot court orientation programs like this for me to learn from this. So everything was taught to YouTube, and I went for my first moot court, and in every moot court I used to get something. I haven't thrown out in prelims in every moot court. I used to get a best speaker I got 3 best speakers and 2 winning trophies and 2 runner trophies, and in 2 moots I have qualified for quarters and semi. So after completing my UG and after enrolling as an advocate, I'm standing before the Madras High Court for a writ petition, and my friend was an opponent, because we used to go to different office, and I used to go to my father's office because he is a senior advocate, and my mom is obviously a senior advocate in Madras High Court. I used to go with them, and my parents want me to learn something, so they give daily or 2 to 3 representations to be done by me. So my co-friend was a petitioner and I was in the respondent side. My co-friend just went and stood before the court. He became so panicked and he used to address the court as sir. Sir, no sir. Sir, no sir. This is sir. The judge was so tensed. This is how you're going to address a judge. You don't know how to address a judge. He saw me and at least I said yes lordship, I know. He was excited. He was surprised. How you all know this concept? And I told I have participated in moot court and I know how to address the judge and I know what are the courtroom decorums, etc. So that time I thought, thank God I have participated in moot court and I didn't go and got mocked in front of many senior advocates. So you have to participate in moot court to avoid this kind of situations in your life. And after that, after completing the petitioner side, I went and argued for respondent side, and obviously the order was on the respondent side. And maybe because the petitioner side was not fluent with your addressing or courtroom decorum, maybe the judge would have thought to give order for the respondent. That depends upon the judges. And he didn't cite even a single case for to sum up his argument. But in my case, the same like you're reading up a memo in your moot court, the same should be ready for your real courts also. You're going to reading up points, you're going to arguing before the court, and you're going to cite the same case in before the court. But in moot court, you're not going to have anyone to cross check the cases. But in high court, you're going to have a law clerk. He or she will be sitting next to the judges, below 2 ranks, below the steps. And if I say the citation, that law clerk will be having a SEC or Manupatram subscription, and he'll be typing the name of the case with citation and check whether it is a real case, whether the same facts I'm arguing with is correct to the fact of that case. So these are the things you're going to handle in real courts, and that you're not going to handle in moot court. So if you get a chance to participate in moot court, definitely just participate. And another, you also get job opportunities if you just participate in moot. Because I got a job opportunity in IP litigation firm as soon as I completed my UG, but I didn't go for that. When I received a call, they just called me because I participated in moot court. I told, okay, if it is participation is okay, or you want the participant to be winning or run a team. They told participation itself is enough. When there are 500 to 1000 people in your college and they are sending you 3 for that competition, you will obviously understand that you are a good fellow and you have stuff in your brains. So participation is more important than winning or running. So participate in at least 2 moots per year. If you are in your 5-year course, participate in at least 10 moots. And if you are in your 3 years, participate in at least 6 moots. No matter what you return back, if you return back home with your empty hand without a trophy or a cash prize, it's okay. You're going to learn few cases. You're going to learn how to prepare a memo. You're going to learn the courtroom decorum. And next, moving on to dress code is for females, there will be kurti or black pant with waistcoat, or formal pants, shirt with blazers. For girls, I request girls not to leave your hair free because nowadays many people go with free hairs, but few judges won't opt for free hair or open hair. Just tie it up with a pony or with a band or anything. And for girls, the few members will be removing up their first shirt button or 2 shirts button, and blazer without a button while standing. So that should not be done. You have to tie up all the shirt buttons and you have to button your blazers while you stand. While you sit, you have to remove your buttons obviously, and while you stand, you have to pin up your buttons. And for shoes, no heel or no cut shoes or no loafer type shoes. You have to wear a black formal shoe with black socks. That's it. If there will be few sports shoes in black with 3-inch heel and a red or a white border or something. No, that should be avoided mostly, because I used to check what is the council wearing and what are the council wearing. And for boys, if you are wearing any sort of chain or heavy bracelet, you can just remove while you are having your runs. Just remove it and put it in your pocket for that half an hour or 1 hour. After that, you can wear it during your leisure time. And same for the boys. The pant for the boys should be till the shoes, and a few boys will be wearing their pants above 3 inches or 4 inches height, showing their anklet or something. So that should be avoided in moot courts, because how the judges see you is the first impression for them to judge you. If the judges say what kind of dress code is this, you're finished. That's it. You're not going to go for your next round at all. Even if you argue well, and even if you speak well, and even if you cite at least 50 cases, you're not going for your quarterfinals. So first impression should be always good in before the judges. And when the judges is talking to you, or when the judges is addressing you, you have to have eye contact with the judges. You're not going to speak with your researcher or speaker while the judges is talking. And while the judges is asking you questions, you have to obviously see the judge and listen what the judge is asking, and not go on speaking what all you know. So these are the criteria that can make you good in your moot courts by qualifying for the rounds, etc. And when the judges is asking question and you don't know the answer for that question, you don't know even a 2 to 3% of the question, just say the judges that you are unaware. Don't in the name of I should answer something, you don't answer which is not relevant to the topic. Don't answer which is totally unfair to the facts, or which is not corresponding to the facts. If you don't know, just accept to the court that you're unaware of that certain provision or certain doctrine you're having. Because if you go on doing up with your wrong answers, the judges will be tensed, and there is chances that you're losing marks there also. So if you don't know, just say, Lordship, I am just unaware of the doctrine or the provision you're asking, and I would refer the books or something, and I'll reply you before the round ends. So you're going to refer what he asked, and you're going to answer it before the round ends. And that's all for now, I think. If there are any questions for you, can ask. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries. Is there any doubt? You can post it in your chat box. I have shared the marking criteria with the organizers, and maybe they'll share it with you in the group. Yeah, I'll share you at least 2 memos with the preposition and the handwritten notes of me. It is okay for you that I'm sharing you handwritten notes instead of typing it typically. Is that okay? You just go on to the memos and facts which I'm sending, and you'll get a clear idea how to do that. I'll just share. And any other doubts? Any feedbacks?
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, my question is that if judges are asking some questions from we and we are not able to answer
Yes, good
them, then,
morning.
ma'am, if judges are asking some question to our memorial and we are not able to answer it, then how can we respond?
If you have any typical errors in your memo, or if the facts or case cited in your memo is wrong to your knowledge, and if the judges question how can you cite this case or something, you can just reply them that it is a typical error and it will be rectified later or something. The judges will be satisfied for whatever you answer. They will be given question is on the memo, you don't have to be worried about it. And be sure that the opponent does not defend you in rebuttal or surrebuttal with that point.
Okay, ma'am.
Who have participated in moot court before? And for reading up a memorial, I use also. I use AI, but I don't copy from there. I use AI for the citing points, and I take help of AI. Obviously, you can also do that, but don't copy paste from ChatGPT or something. You just have a look at it, and you'll get an idea and create that idea into your own idea and brief your memos.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, if a judge does not give a chance to speak, then in this condition, what we can do?
In most cases the judges won't give you chance to speak, but what you have to do is you have to explain your what all the points you have brought by the question asked by the judges. And if
Okay.
you go and stand in quarterfinals, they in semifinals or finals, they won't let you see your memo for even a second. They won't let you speak what all you have got. They will be asking repeated questions repeatedly. If a judge has completed his question, the another judges will be asking. You will be fried during the rounds after the preliminary. So in such cases, you should have your points in your knowledge, and when the judge asking any questions, you have to give the points that are related to, or that are prepared by you, that are relating to the questions. If you have prepared a good points on plea bargaining, and the judges mentions the word plea bargaining, you can give up all the points you have brought for plea bargaining. That's why you can answer. And there is no other chance to ask the judges, I have points, I can explain. No, 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 not possible. So you
Okay,
can
ma'am.
use this. Any other thing?
And then one more thing, in online moot court competitions, we have also asked that question ki council seeks permission to reach the podium.
No. The council seeks permission to begin with the facts. That's it. It's enough. Only in offline modes, you're going to ask for podium, because in online you're not going to have a podium. You're going to ask if the judges permit. I would like to start with my statement of facts. And another thing is, if you are in the respondent side, you should obviously explain your facts, because I have seen a few teams not explaining their facts just because they are respondent, just because the fact is explained by the petitioner. That shouldn't be done. Even if you are a respondent side member, you should explain your facts.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, can we read our memorial in final round?
No. In final round, you won't be given any chance to read your memo. And in any rounds, you shouldn't read your memo. You should just see your memos for citing a case, and for when the judges are asking you any questions and you have the answer in your memo. Only in these two situations you have to see your memo. In other situations, you shouldn't see your memo, obviously. And the expectations of the judges is they want you to argue. This is not a lecture competition, or it is not a debate competition to see your memos and read. They want you to argue for your clients. That's it. Even in real course, you won't be getting opportunity to read your memos. You have to you have to speak what all is there in your knowledge, because you're going to give the copy of what you read in a plain or in written statement, and what all the cases cited to the judges or to the court officers. It is showing 15th March. Which is showing 15th March? Meenakshi, which is showing 15th March.
The feedback form is showing 15th March marital rape session, madam. Please.
Okay, the organizing committee can look after that.
Ma'am, at the time of the argument, if we lost our confidence and we are not able to respond to judges, then what should we do?
If you just lose your confidence and during your rounds, you can you do? You can argue what at that time you can use your memos, because if you lose your confidence, obviously what all in your is in your brains will be just erased. So that time you can use your memo instead of standing before the court with empty hands. You can use your memos that time. And you shouldn't go out of confidence during your rounds. And I will give a tip which I followed during my moods is you just go and stand before the assistant professors in your college with your memo and with your fact like a real court. You're going to argue both sides in before the assistant professors and let them ask you questions regarding the facts. So if they ask you and if they fry you with the questions, you will obviously get confidence before going to moot. Okay, we can just do it. And if you go and stand before the real judges for the first time only, you will lose confidence, obviously. So just go on to your assistant professors to ask you questions like a real court and consider them as judges and ask them to give you marking criteria. And after that, go to your real moot court competition. We used to follow this in our college. It is compulsory for us to go and stand before them in our college. And if we do good only, they will just send us, or else they won't send us. They will just replace the members.